The Wizard of Oz is a timeless tale of fantasy, friendship, and self-discovery. I remember as a little girl, I grew up watching The Wizard of Oz, and I admired Dorothy because of her innocence and the fact that she gave each and every one of us hope that one day each and every one of us would discover our rainbow. And of course it didn't hurt that she also had those red ruby slippers as well. I know I'm about to get a little slack for this, but in 4 weeks, I'm about to turn 29 years old. And in my age bracket, we consider that you're getting old. And during this time, I've really started to think and reflect back on my life. And the one thing that I've constantly been thinking about is how in the heck am I standing here today? The past 4 years in my life have been some of the most lowest points. I lost my mother 2 years ago to cancer unexpectedly. I had a suicide attempt, and I was involved in a verbal and physically abusive relationship. And about 2 months ago, I had to have a major surgery. And recently, when I was reflecting back on my life, one weekend, I decided to watch The Wizard of Oz again. And it's interesting that when you watch a movie from an adult, when you watch it as a little child, you have a totally different perspective and viewpoint of it. And at the end of that movie, one theme, one word came to my mind. And it reminded me about why I'm standing in front of you all today. And that word is resilience. The Wizard of Oz taught me 4 lessons that each and every one of us can learn about resilience. The first lesson that we can learn is finding your purpose and your meaning. According to Viktor Frankl, who was a Holocaust survivor and the founder of logotherapy, he said that the primary motivating force in each and every one of us is finding meaning and purpose in our lives. And he goes on to say that one of the ways for each and every one of us to discover that meaning is the attitude that we adapt when we go through trials and tribulations. And we all know, especially in this day and age, that pain, tragedy, and suffering is inevitable. In The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy's meaning was she desperately wanted to go back to Kansas to be with her family. The Scarecrow wanted a brain. The Tin Man wanted a heart to experience some of those human emotions that many of us take for granted. And the Lion wanted courage. And because they had that meaning, that gave them more motivation that we have to get to the land of Oz to get those things. And when we have meaning, that gives us more of a will to live. And that is the foundation of resilience. The second lesson that we can learn is to never give up. There's going to be wicked witches in our lives, whether it be our own selves, family members, or whatnot that try to throw us off track. But we can learn from Dorothy and her friends that despite the different schemes and tactics that the wicked witch threw at them, they persevered. The third lesson that we can learn is that there will be people that will help us along our journey. There have been many of us who have been hurt and betrayed by people, and because of that, we've put up this wall and incorporated this motto that I have to walk alone. But from personal experience, I've learned that there are going to be people that you meet in the most unexpected places, and you form those relationships. And we can conclude that Dorothy would probably not have made it to the land of Oz if she didn't have her friends to help her and be that backbone. Then the final lesson that we can learn is that you have the power to change your own situation. Dorothy and her friends thought that they needed to get everything that they needed from the Wizard of Oz. But in the end, they discovered that they had all of those traits and those resources. And each and every one of us, we hold the key to be able to change our circumstances and our way of thinking. So overall, from the Wizard of Oz, just know that it's not about how you start in your journey, but it's about how you finish. And no matter what life throws at you, always continue to follow your yellow brick road.